Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Zox with my co-host here, Anthony Rivaro. Today we got a special guest on the line, Quinn Meinerz from Wisconsin-Whitewater, D3 school, but he's gotten so much attention as a D1 prospect, going to the Senior Bowl and competing against some of the best and most talented prospects in the country and completely kicking their ass. And that was kind of what excited me about this interview. I was like, I hadn't heard your name. And then suddenly I was hearing your name everywhere. And now you're being mocked in the second round of potential day one starter in the NFL. And that must be humbling for you. I just want to get to know you and your transition to this kind of stage, this national spotlight all of a sudden coming out of nowhere in a couple of weeks, this insane videos of you in the woods working out and doing some crazy things. So I'm really excited to talk to you and just get to know you a little bit, Quinn. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. Yeah. Just finished up my, my workout today and, just kind of going today. I'm a pretty, I have a little more of a relaxed day, but typically my days are pretty filled with whether it be meetings with teams and lots of other things. But today was a nice day to, get on your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, give us a little background. Like you grew up in Wisconsin, you go up into Canada and you do these awesome workouts. So give us some background to like who you are, your interests, just some stuff about you. I just want to know, like, do you play Call of Duty, play Xbox, PS5, just interested to hear what you got.
Yeah. So I grew up in Hartford, Wisconsin. I went to high school there and everything, competed in 3 sports. I was football, wrestling, and track. And then I really didn't have any Division I offers whatsoever. Wisconsin-Whitewater was the best option for me. So that's why I went there. And so that workout video I filmed in 2019. And so the 2018 and 2019 summers, I was spending my entire summer on this island in Canada that my great uncle Tim owns. And I had to kind of find a way to, stay in shape, getting ready for fall camp to get ready for another season. And so I wanted to create a video to kind of show my teammates like how serious I was kind of going into the 2019 season, because I was voted a captain and I wanted to kind of show them like what I was doing and just to show how serious I was for that 2019 season. If I'm not playing football or anything like that, I do enjoy, fishing. I mean, that the fishing up in Canada is absolutely unreal. I mean, you can catch 50 fish within a day, like pretty easily. Like you run out of bait more times than not. And if I'm not doing that, I do enjoy playing video games. I'm a PC guy, so I've played League of Legends is one of my top games. And I haven't had a lot of time to play it recently, but yeah, that's kind of a little synopsis of who I am.
That's a good thing. Not being able to play video games is a very good thing. And, I used to play Skyrim back in the day, obviously like Minecraft and all those fun games and stuff. Lately I've been binging COD too much to say, but that's awesome, man. You're doing some really cool things and really getting involved with the football side of things. You're meeting with teams daily, probably, trying to get to know you and your story. What kind of things are they asking you in terms of, just your personality? Are they asking you like what you're doing to stay in shape, like who you're training with? I saw you were training with Rashawn Slater a couple of weeks ago, which is a sick thing to for you to experience. How was that training with Rashawn Slater, like a potential top 10 pick, and really putting your name on the map like that? Just really working out with some big names there.
So it's pretty much a lot of basic questions because a lot of people don't know who I am. I really came out of the dirt, I guess, and because nobody really knew who I was. So they're all asking kind of those basic questions because you can't really I'm not like a Division I guy where it's like your whole life is already out there when you commit to you're a 4-star recruit and blah blah blah. Everyone already knows who you are. So people kind of want to know the basics about who I am, where I'm from, my support system, and blah blah blah. Like some other questions, they try to install a play and then I have to kind of recite it back to them. And that's kind of like the hardest part of those meetings. But yeah, pretty much every day I'm meeting with at least one team. And that's just kind of how the process has been. So I worked out with Rashawn Slater in November, I believe. Me and him, we worked out together for about like 3 weeks. I went down to Texas and worked out at MJP with Duke Manyweather and Rashawn Slater. It was really cool. I got everything I wanted out of it. I got, a lot of knowledge from Duke, and also it was my first encounter with, like a Division I, prospect. And it was just cool to have that moment of seeing like who, what does that look like? Kind of the behind the scenes of like, what does that look like? And throughout those 3 weeks, Slater and I, have a really solid relationship. Actually, I consider him a really good friend of mine. And it's really cool to keep building these relationships throughout the process, because I think I've earned a lot of people's respect, because every time, the first day I walk into a room, nobody knows who I am. Like, who is this guy? So I think I've earned a lot of people's respect, and it's really cool to, I think it's cool when you earn that, and you can, you exchange phone numbers, and so that you can talk to a person like that every day. So yeah, it was really good experience. And that's part of the reason why I was able to go to the Senior Bowl, is because those 3 weeks of me training.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when someone sees you and they're like, I know that guy because he knocked down a tree with his bare hands. That's pretty badass. And these guys like Rashawn Slater, obviously, you didn't look like you had anything down on him. You looked like you were his equal. And we saw a lot of analysts say that. Jim Nagy said it as well. And these guys, they're saying you look the piece, you look the part, you look like you're a first round talent, you look like you can start day one in the NFL as a D3 player, which is pretty impressive to say. And I mean, those D3 guys didn't stand a chance. You ran them over like a truck. So it was pretty awesome to watch that. But Anthony, I'll let you get into some of your questions. I know you have some awesome things to ask Quinn.
Yeah, of course. He just mentioned Jim Nagy. So basically, when you got the invite to the Senior Bowl, what was your initial reaction, and what did it mean to you to get that invite?
So yeah, I'll kind of give the background of the story. So like about a year ago, I set out on this mission that I wanted to get invited to the Senior Bowl, and also hearing that I didn't have a season, I was like, all right, well, that's going to make things a lot harder than they already would be. But so yeah, I'll go through that day. So I'm down in Exos in Frisco, Texas, doing the the classic combine training stuff. And then I go to my bag and I look at my phone. I got a couple missed calls and then a text message from my agent saying, hey, call that number back. No idea who it was. So I called the number back, and I didn't know it was Jim Nagy. And he goes, oh, Quinn, how you doing, man? Like, how are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm doing good. Who is this? He goes, this is Jim Nagy. You ready to put that Warhawk helmet on one last time? And then, yeah, I kind of broke down into tears, just because I worked so hard for that moment. And when it finally because I kind of lost hope at that point, because I didn't get the invite until about 2 weeks out of the Senior Bowl. So I kind of was like, all right, all the spots are filled. Like, it's over. So that to have that kind of lift up everything was just really emotional. And then right after that, I called my dad right away to let him know, because I was working out so hard for so long, and to have that moment where it all the hard work pays off is always so rewarding.
Yeah, kind of a dream come true moment, like you're going to have again at the end of this month, of course. But at the Senior Bowl, you made the most of it. You got that invitation. You went there, you balled out, right? You turned heads left and right. Everyone started saying your name all over social media. But when you were there, did you learn any key takeaways that helped you become a better player?
Yeah, it was really, without the Senior Bowl, my career is night and day. It's like night and day at this point. It's undrafted to now, maybe day two. Like, it's a pretty ridiculous jump. So, the big takeaways, it was nice to kind of get like a simplified version of what an NFL playbook is going to look like, and just kind of get it thrown at you, and all right, I'll do it. Or, the night before the first practice, I get a text message from the O-line coach saying, hey, you're playing only center for the first 2 days the night before. And, my experience at center is, extremely limited, so I think I learned learn on the job. I think I learned, the toughness side of football is, I finished practice with a broken hand on Thursday. And also to have a veteran center in the room like Creed Humphrey was awesome, just to watch how he does things. That one of the, the most difficult blocks for me was doing those one-on-ones when the defensive lineman was over my snapping hand. That was something that I have super limited experience on. So that's something I think I can continue to learn. I think that's the biggest thing that I think teams are excited about, is that I have so much to improve. Like my ceiling is just kind of insane, because I have so much that I can learn. And they could definitely tell I was a little raw at the Senior Bowl, but some coaches just get excited when they see someone like that. You get someone from Alabama or something like that, and they're already pretty well developed, and you already know what you're going to get. But for me, I think I have just an insane amount of improving to do.
Yeah, a lot of untapped potential. And I wanted to ask you about that switch over to center. How was that transition? I'm sure it wasn't the easiest thing just to do on the spot, but looking at the next level, going to the NFL, where do you see yourself playing? Have teams already spoken to you about that? Do they want you at guard? Do they want you at center? where do you see yourself? And of course, just how was that transition at the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, so I've been training center for a long time, but like not in that live setting. So like I've been kind of working on it in the backyard by myself. There's that funny video out there of me snapping into a garbage can in my backyard. So like, I've been working on it for a really long time. And so when I kind of initially heard that, hey, there's a real shot in the NFL, if you're playing, unless you're someone like Quentin Nelson, you're not only going to be playing left guard. Like that's just how it is. So you have to be able to play the interior three. If you're going to be interior offensive line, you have to be able to play both guards and center. So the big thing that I was able to show at the Senior Bowl is my versatility, which was awesome, but it was also, difficult, is that I think a lot of centers is that mental piece. And I think I handled the situation really well. I think there were some moments of just, messing up or, maybe being a little over my toes a little bit and falling down. And I can totally own up to those. I'm totally fine with that because the film doesn't lie. So there's no reason to lie about it. So I think, I didn't have a season, and all those things kind of culminate together. So there's definitely a lot of pressure, but honestly, I just kind of I got comfortable really quickly. I was just like, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do what I do. And, everything else will kind of take care of itself. So the training, I relied back on my training and I just was working hard for that moment. So when I'm talking to teams, I kind of get this, I don't know. I think a lot of teams see me as a center, but like I was saying before, you have to be able to play the interior three, and to be able to play center is really valuable. So I think that's where a team will see me fit. Because even if I'm not, a starter right away, I can be a traveling on the 53 because I think they only bring like 8 linemen. So, they probably bring an extra tackle or 2, and then the one interior guy that can play all 3. So that's just adding that value, lets you stick and play longer.
Yeah, you remind me a lot of someone on the Giants already, Nick Gates, and he kind of made that transition from offensive tackle to offensive guard to center, and now he's playing center, full time for the Giants, and the Giants are looking for that guy who can play all 3 positions because Nick Gates is now our bona fide, starting center. But your most comfortable position, I would assume, is left guard, right?
Yeah, I think just because the time and the snaps and the reps that I have at left guard is probably the most, comfortable spot. But to be honest, because I haven't played football in so long, like it's almost like I'm kind of can make a transition to any spot right now, just because I don't have that like super in-depth like muscle memory of playing one position for a whole year. And so I was starting to feel really comfortable, at least, going day 2, day 3 of the Senior Bowl. I was starting to feel really comfortable. And I think that's what's excited a lot of teams, is how natural center was to me without really having any training.
Yeah, you graded as one of the top offensive linemen in the draft, as in terms of athleticism, in the RAS. So that was awesome. But what would you say is, like, let's say 3 of your biggest strengths, like something that you look at yourself and you're like, these are 3 things that I absolutely crush, and what team should be looking at in terms of why I should be drafted in the second day?
I think the first thing is just the physicality that I play the game with, and just the I don't know, mean and nasty. I think that's just when you turn that switch on, it's just, let's go. Like, let's make the offensive coordinator run the ball more. Like, that's where the fun is. So that's where I enjoy the most of the game. I think, I'm a pretty big offensive lineman, but I think I can move really well. So I think I'm pretty athletic for my size. And then I think the third part is I think my ability to be coachable. I think my ability to learn things like kind of quickly and on the spot was something I was also able to show at the Senior Bowl, how quickly I'm able to just keep learning things and improve on every single day.
Yeah. What would you say was like maybe your biggest weakness, or 3 weaknesses that you would show, teams like this is, weaknesses that could be strengths even?
Yeah, I would say, one of my weaknesses, it definitely showed the Senior Bowl, is I kind of get a little bit over my toes a little bit, maybe a little bit of a, lean sometimes, which, yeah, it's definitely kind of a bad habit, and it's something I was able to kind of get away with at Whitewater, but I'm kind of still in that like transition of, you can't, just keep getting away with certain things like that. I would say, another weakness maybe would be like the football intelligence stuff, just because I have just a limited knowledge, and then also playing center is a whole different view of a picture of the entire offense. So I think it's just I just need like time and reps, and just the ability to learn and to be coached.
Yeah, of course. And playing center being a new thing is kind of like the main talking point with you because it was surprising how well you handled it at the Senior Bowl. But one thing that was a new challenge to you was going up against the zero tech, right? You mentioned it earlier when someone was lined up right on your snapping hand. Like, how comfortable are you potentially going to the NFL and having to face zero techs full time, having that guy pre-snap lined up in your face every single down? How comfortable are you with that?
I think I could, be really comfortable in that situation. I think, I've always stressed being, with mobility and stuff, and through my wrestling experience, I'm really good at using my hips. So that's something that, I definitely can learn. And it's also the like getting better at like the snapping and then punching with your offhand, and then, really sitting that anchor down, which is something I think I'm really good at because I'm able to really bend my knees really well, and I have really good ankle mobility. And then I also can use my hips to really, create force. And, when you're going against those bigger guys, they're most likely going to try to bull rush you. So you got to really just try to like lift them up and use your hips. And I think those are some of the strengths that I have. And so it's just, honestly, it's just reps. It's just reps at this point, and getting the right coaching and getting to practice.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of inspires you? What is like the motivating factor every day when you wake up and you're going to go play in a football game and you're like, I'm turning that switch on. I'm going to be in the zone. What are you thinking about? Like, what makes you get that angry, feisty style of play where you're just like, I'm going to mow that man down?
Yeah. I mean, I was just, every time I walked through that tunnel at the Senior Bowl, I was just extremely pissed off, like I'm looking around, I'm very proud of where I, have come from, but, it was also, it kind of pissed me off just to see all these different helmets of like, man, you know what? I could have played there. Like, I could have played at Notre Dame. I could have played at Oklahoma. I could have played at all these other schools, but nobody ever said a word to me. So I just had this massive chip on my shoulder to prove everybody wrong. And, just make all the schools that didn't talk to me look bad, and also just prove a lot of people wrong. I have really enjoyed proving people wrong. And the biggest thing held against me going into the Senior Bowl was level of competition. He's going against D3 guys, he's going against doctors and lawyers. Like, that's like the classic thing that I've heard. So to be able to, put that to rest and then some was awesome, and a great feeling. And now to this, the next piece of motivation is, now I have to figure out how to block a whole another level of competition. So there's no motivation is never a problem for me. I'm super intrinsically motivated to do things. And so now the next challenge is now I got to block people like Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox, and Dominican Sue, and, all those guys. So now that's the new goal now, is to be able to do that.
Yeah. What are you doing to prepare for that, huge level of talent increase, power, strength, speed, when you're going up against guys that you just mentioned, Sue, Aaron Donald? What are you doing to train and prepare for that?
So right now I'm training at a gym in Waukesha, Wisconsin called Next Level. There's actually a person you guys probably might know that I'm working out with, which is Kevin Zeitler. He's
Great guy.
from Wisconsin. Yeah, great dude. And so I'm working out at this gym. There's a handful of NFL guys, and yeah, I really trust the process that the owner that does is Brad Arnett. And the three Watt brothers still train there to this day. So it's a great place. And that's kind of what I'm doing, is just really just training my butt off every single day to make sure that my body is prepared, for a 20 game season. Cause the most amount of games I've played was my junior year, and that was 15 games. So it's a whole different level of preparation. And that's kind of what I'm doing, and also really communicating to the guys that are, some of the veterans that are, that I'm working out with. I can, kind of ask questions.
Yeah. What kind of, veteran tips and tricks has Kevin Zeitler given you that has helped you grow as a player?
I'm kind of going to lean on him a lot more once I finally kind of get into like a playbook and just kind of understand how he likes to study things. So that's kind of the next piece here. Something like training is really easy for me because that's something that I can control. So I can really put a lot of time into it. And so now the next thing that I have to control is how well I can figure out a playbook very quickly. So that's kind of when I'm going to, lean on him. And then I kind of just, ask questions of how fall camp is and stuff like that. And he was saying that, college is worse than the pros because the two-a-days are pretty rough.
And, obviously Kevin Zeitler was most recently a Giant. Have you had any connection, any communication with the Giants? I know Robert Sales, a new offensive line coach, and just kind of want an idea of, who you've talked to and if the Giants are on the radar.
I have been on a call with the offensive line coach, Coach Sales. Great coach. He was one of my more difficult, interviews or whatever. So he really tried to stump me, and I think I had a good time with him. So I think, I'm probably on the radar, but it's really hard to tell. You really don't know until the team actually picks you. So that's all I kind of really focus on.
Exactly. And, what are your plans for the draft? Are you excited, doing anything special with the family?
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited. Though, so what I'll be doing is I'll be in my hometown of Hartford, Wisconsin, and I'll be with my family and my girlfriend and just kind of keeping the group small, the original people that have been with me for the longest time. So that's kind of the plan.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it earlier, but you were kind of an unknown commodity entering the Senior Bowl and everything, and now all of a sudden you're number 53 on Pro Football Focus draft board. You're in the top 50 for Daniel Jeremiah. Your rise in draft stock has been almost astronomical. You came out of nowhere, and now you're right up there. You're a top 50 player in this year's draft. How exciting is that? How much motivation does that give you entering the league?
It's it's one of those things where I knew the hard work that I was doing, for the longest time. And it was just kind of, I don't know, in hindsight, it was just kind of just the right time. Everything kind of happened at the right time where I was able to kind of unleash the beast of who I am and what I was able to kind of create. Because I had to really dial in with my diet, my new plan, the new gym I was working out at. Like, I really had to change a lot of different things. And that's why, working out with Duke was so, working out with Duke and Slater was a really, pivotal moment, and even more so the Senior Bowl, because nobody knew who I was. You turn on the 2019 tape and you see someone, I self-reflect, you see the, St. John's or the national championship game, and you see someone, that looks a little athletic, unathletic, it looks a little, too big, maybe a little lazy, not super mobile. And just, I don't know, there were a lot of things that I was self critiquing. And then, to come out of the dark, I love working out in the background, and, nobody knows. And just, I love that. And so to kind of come out of the dark and show everybody what I've been working on with, showing that video to Jim Nagy, and it was really cool for him to post that. So to be able to have that moment where it's like, holy cow, who is this guy? Nobody really could tell, like, they're like, what happened? Because even on some of the calls that I have with teams, they're like, you look like a completely different person. I was like, yeah, that's because I've been busting my butt for a real long time. So it's been a crazy journey and a crazy ride.
Yeah, now you're totally on the map. You had your pro day. Every NFL team was represented at your pro day. Did you gain any valuable insight from specific NFL teams that you spoke to there?
I would say, like, the only insight was there were some offensive line coaches there, which is kind of cool. Usually, like, when a position specific coach comes to your pro day, that's kind of like maybe a little bit more interest. I don't know. It's really hard to tell, but I think I really kind of solidified my spot. The Senior Bowl film was pretty good, and the 2019 film was, everything was kind of lining up. And now the icing on the cake was to do the pro day and just show how athletic and how hard I was working to get a good of those drills.
Yeah, and I have another pro day question for you. You surpassed reportedly the 90th percentile historically amongst interior offensive linemen in the 40-yard dash, the vertical jump, the broad jump, the short shuttle, and the three cone. You absolutely killed all of those drills. So what kind of training did it take you to reach those numbers, and what kind of competitive advantage do you gain from being such a great athlete?
Yeah, so I was doing the combine training at Exos in Frisco, Texas. It's kind of like that's just what they do at those Exos locations. So it's kind of like I don't know, kind of like a feeder system, like in and out 8-week kind of training. So honestly, it was pretty tough. Those are some you go from an offensive lineman to try being a track athlete for the next 8 weeks, which is really tough on a 320-pound person, so, there was a lot of hard work. And so it was really nice to kind of get it done and over with, and to show, how athletic I am. And, when I'm, in the, you know, the competition of you know, in football, it's really nice to have that athleticism as being a big guy, because, you know, even, you know, defensive linemen are getting more athletic and more athletic and more athletic. So offensive linemen got to keep matching that. And to be able to have that really allows me to, you know, be able to block people like Osa Digizui, block people like Levi, block people, you know, that are, you know, really, you know, respected athletes. We got to be able to block those guys. So we got to be pretty athletic too. And I think the big guys, especially the offensive linemen, don't get enough credit for how athletic they are with some of the jobs they're required to do.
Not at all. How many calories were you pumping through during that 8-week process?
I was on a cut, so I was pretty low on calories. I mean, probably like 3,500, 4,000, which is low for me.
What's high?
So I was kind of high. It was probably like 5,000.
Eating like a whole cow a day, man.
I've been my main diet, usually not the Exos diet. I've been eating a lot of ground beef and rice. It's kind of the classic. Nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Anthony, any other questions? I got one funny one that one of our fans wants me to ask, but I'll save that for last.
Yeah, I got a couple more. You know, you named a few of those big names that you went up against at the Senior Bowl. Who was the toughest matchup that you went up against over there?
I think the toughest matchup was definitely Osa. And I think the reason why was, you know, we were competing a lot against each other. And, you know, I think he was kind of used to that, you know, nose tackle position, and I wasn't really used to that center. So he really challenged me a lot initially with, you know, anticipation of the snap count, you know, how quickly he was able to kind of get off the ball. And, you know, his leverage was pretty good, but I think I matched him really well just because I naturally play really low. And, you know, I think we had a really good competition all week, and we both kind of had a lot of respect for each other, and it was cool to have that competition. I was always excited to go against them because I knew it was going to be I really love those competitive, you know, 1v1s or just in team or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. And I have two more questions for you. In terms of wrestling, you mentioned it earlier, your background in wrestling. How does that help you as an offensive lineman? What skills do you take from there that translate to offensive line play?
So with wrestling, it really helped, you know, obviously being away from wrestling for, you know, so long, it's, you know, there's not as many things I was kind of doing. So like in high school, I was almost wrestling out there on the football field sometimes just because it just made my blocks easier. So wrestling has definitely helped with, you know, hand fighting and, you know, being able to, you know, use your hips effectively when trying to, you know, block linebackers or defensive linemen. One of the main things I still kind of use, you know, as a heavyweight, some of the big things are, you know, kind of getting the underhooks or the overhooks. So, you know, if I kind of miss with a punch and I kind of have this like arm underneath them, and let's say I'm trying to reach them, I'm able to kind of like jack them up a little bit like this, and then I can kind of move my hips and then reposition my hands and block them. So there's kind of certain things out there, or like there's a play at Whitewater where a linebacker, I was pulling, and the linebacker kind of comes up and tries to like cut me, but I just kind of do like a spin go behind, like a 2-point to get like a 2-point takedown, and it's kind of funny to do that. So it definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll ask you one more question before I turn it back to Alex. Are there any offensive linemen in the NFL currently that you study frequently or try to model your game after?
So when I've been on this kind of center journey, I've watched a lot of Ryan Jensen. I just like the way he plays the game. You know, he's a big center, and he just plays, you know, mean and nasty, and he's always, you know, looking out for his guys. And that's something that, you know, I want to be able to emulate. And another person, you know, when I've been looking guard is Quentin Nelson. I love the way he just mauls guys. And as I've kind of, you know, built a relationship with Zeitler, I've watched a lot of what he does. He has a little bit more of that, you know, that grown man strength that I don't have yet, but it's definitely something to kind of look forward to because he's a big dude.
Yeah, Kevin, he has that old man strength. You see him, you know, last year he really he's like 30 something now. And he killed it last year. You know, he was one of the only reasons our line even held together. So we need offensive line support. So I know they're looking at you, man. But are you a Packers fan? Or you're from Wisconsin?
I'm actually a Patriots fan.
Well, I have no hate against the Patriots. I mean, we got you guys. And you got the rest of the league for like 10 years straight. So I know how are you feeling about this transition away from Brady? Do you think Cam's the answer?
I think so. I think Cam, you know, I really respect his work ethic, and I think how well, I mean, I don't know, he's matured or something like that. It feels weird being a younger person saying how well he's matured, but yeah, I think he can really, put it together. And I think giving him another year is really good for him and good for the team, because he's a really good guy and he's trying to do a lot of really good things with his platform. And, he's got to be a great locker room guy.
Yeah, I mean, Patriots spent a ton of money this offseason trying to plug some of those holes. So I think Cam definitely has the weapons. And, they're probably looking for some O-linemen too. It'd be kind of cool to end up in New England, the team you love.
Mm-hmm.
But my final question for you is, one fan was begging me to ask this, basically, was, have you ever wrestled with a live animal?
That's funny. I mean, like, play wrestling with like a dog, but no, not like, I did not wrestle a bear in the woods in Canada, because if I saw a bear in Canada, I'm out, I'm gone. I'm not messing with a bear, man. But that's a funny question.
Yeah, I was asking. He's like, you got to ask him this question. I was like, all right, I'll try, but I figured it'd be kind of funny, man. But
that's funny, yeah, because I think there's videos of, I don't know, like if you know Khabib, I think he wrestled like a bear when he was.
I saw that.
I'm not doing that.
I don't know. Okay. Only if it's a tamed bear, right?
Yeah. And even then.
Even then, you don't know what you might be a snack that day. It might be one of those 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
But Quinn, man, really appreciate you coming on, talking football with us, getting to know you a little bit. I know the Giants fans are hyped to get to know you. I posted on Twitter today. Everyone's like, I can't wait to check this out. So really appreciate you talking to us and really breaking it down, man. And I wish you the best of luck in the near future. I really hope the Giants snag you. We get to talk to you again in blue. That'd be sick. And I'm really excited to see what your future holds, man.
Yeah, thank you. I had a good time, and I'm really excited for the Giants community kind of see what I can bring to the table.
Absolutely, man. Well, have an awesome day, and we'll catch you guys later.
Yeah.
Thank you, Quinn.
So, see you guys.